apparatus, this M1. Its original apparatus come to the mic, and I only adjust to the 9000 anyway. It sounds good. I have a good adjustment, but you know, one of these days I'm trying to expand a couple of years from to the microphone. Maybe this Louis 940. You know, I'm like to the dual, man. You know, I'm curious about the tube microphone, and the same time you have condenser microphone. It's the same. Anyway, this M1, it's also dual element, but it's dynamic and condenser. But they have some curiosity looking to the condenser and also tube mic. Maybe this is also one of the good combinations. W2 Bravo Tango Kilo CT1EHI, alright?
CT1EHI, W2BTK. So Marcos, I started a live stream here just so you can see my receive. I've got the waterfall, an S meter and everything. You can find that on YouTube later, probably through my QRZ page. I have links to it, but I started a recording just because you'd probably be interested in how you sound and how you're coming in here, so you can see with good quality. I started that up, but yeah, most people use a dynamic for, you know, AM or stuff like this, because it keeps you out of trouble. But I prefer the large diaphragm condenser because it's directional, so you know I can null stuff out just like with the a beam antenna. And then you just have to be really careful with how you gain it up, I think. And with this type of mic, it's just very natural, not a lot of flavor and stuff. That's why I like this 4040. It's very natural sounding mic. Doesn't really have a color to it. And it just picks up accurately my voice. And as long as I don't gain it too much, you don't get a lot of background. And like, I demonstrated before, if I get about a foot off the mic, it sounds a lot different. So I close talk it, and there's so much control in doing that, and very natural. I just use that, and you can get in trouble with a mic like this, pick up a lot of stuff that you don't want to be picking up, but it takes a little dialing in. The tube condenser, I would love to have one of those, but I think if I was doing recordings and stuff, that would be awesome. But for communications, I prefer, I don't know how much people are going to hear the flavor or the color of something like that, a microphone like that, for the expense. I would say I try to go for the most natural thing I can get, have good processing, multi-band dynamics processing that's nice and fast, and that helps me out to be able to do what I want to achieve with the audio or whatever between all that with minimal processing. And then on top of that, I use all digital interconnects. It's all AES 96K. That keeps the RF problems out of the equation, and just feed it to the modulator. So that's how things are going. But yeah, that live stream is going now, so you'll be able to find this and see how you're coming in here. FN20LR. So over to you, Marcos.
Yeah, but you have a live stream and a QRZ.com link over?
The link, I put a link to my previous one in the AM Activity Now thread on QRZ, but that, like I said, that won't be over, but you can find the page through that link, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm looking your page. I don't have any link here anyway. YouTube. Yeah, I'm checking here. Amateur radio and YouTube. Looking. Okay. Live. I'm pushing in a live. Okay, live YouTube. Anyway. Okay. Yeah, I'm listening my voice here. Okay, I'm reading my voice in YouTube anyway. Okay, okay, quite interesting anyway. Okay, it's very easy. Appreciate you send me. I'm drop a little to the sound by the computer, and I'm looking to the spread of my audio. I believe it's good what I'm listening. I don't using nothing especially here anyway. using only to the EQ, to the microphone, and to the radio. I don't have any box because I'm trying to the DBX 286 sugar anyway. When I've quoted in the radio, the front back, you have a lot of gain anyway. Some distortion and some complicated adjustment. And I have a talk off the back of the radio. When I have a talk off the back of the radio, also I'm listening. When I'm pushed to the PTT, a small noise level. And I'm decision, not good for me. The Neumann correctly to the 9000 sounds great, but I have the ZTV to the power and front. But it's easy. I need only open the box and active again to the power and front. And using to the Neumann to the TLM 102 to directly to the 9000. But you know, people like more this. You know, 1 second, this is a 2-element active. Okay, this is dynamic element. This is a dynamic, maybe I'm changing to the condenser there. Okay, 1 second. Okay, this is the condenser element. This is a dual element again, anyway. I'm not sure if you're listening any different. Okay. I'm listening here. I'm checking a computer. Condenser, it's a little more busy. Dual element, it's a little more stronger anyway. This is what I'm running. Good experience anyway. Good copy. Checking here. Yeah, you sounds very loud. The condition, it's very good anyway. Okay. Okay. I'm drop down. I'm checking again. This here to the noise of to the not the gain of the computer, and checking again anyway. The band, it's quite good. Yeah, you're very loud anyway. Justificate you know, to the tube working of the final, you have extremely loud, almost 10/9 continual, and the audio it's very strong, good quality transmission. What I'm reading your voice, it's, you know, remember some SPR radio anyway. W2 Bravo Tango Kilo, CT1EHI. Go ahead, William.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun to listen to, because there were points in your transmission where you were coming in like booming, and then you got hit with some destructive QSB, and you know, which isn't good for comparison, but you could compare it in another way by just seeing, you know, how intelligible you are through destructive QSB. And I would say that your audio settings on most of those different changes, you held up very well through that QSB, and that there's something to be said for that. You know, what I'm doing over here, the QSB, I mean, I get destroyed by it, just because of the nature of how I have, you know, my modulation and my audio set up. So that's quite a nice comparison. Obviously on the recording or the live stream here, I'm just hearing myself through my own receiver, so none of that'll be there. But I'm kind of curious if I'm being hit by any of that destructive QSB, how intelligible it is and how blasty it is, because I am kind of letting it rip over here. So back to you, Marcos, W2BTK.
Yeah, okay, what I'm reading, you're picking 15/9, the last transmission. Sometimes phasing a little less 9. Phasing low distortion, it's practically, when I'm using IM, I remember every day I'm listening some phasing low distortion. It's normally. Strong signals depend of the propagation anyway. But last transmission you're picking almost 15/9. I really, you have to maybe some 3 or 4 elements. Front end you maybe up to maybe 20 or 30 or 40/9, because Yagi said some more gain between what and you have. I believe you have a good system also, but you know, Yagi, it's the Yagi. It's different, the gain. 4 elements, 1 position, it's 4 elements, 1 position. And about your output, multiplicate from 4 elements, you know, you remember. And I'll put 4 elements more, you double your signal anyway. But what I'm checking here, I'm looking my scope from the 9000, I'm looking to the minutoscope, and how the scope is great. You have in a scope, it's very good anyway. I tell you, remember when operating it, maybe if you're using to on Apache Lab, using, you know, this soft SDR radius, you know, now it's similar from these machines anyway. It's similar anyway. You have a punching good, the highs it's great, and also the lows it's great. The adjustment it's quite good anyway. It's very adjustment your transmission. And a phasing low distortion, sometime you up to 15/9 and drop about almost S9 phasing and low distortion. But you know, it's propagation, not your problem, also not my problem. It's the affect by propagation really. I'll wait, because every time kind of operating an IM, I remember really having some low distortion. The same in FM. FM you have more effects, and the distortion it's more in FM. Here in IM it's minimum. In FM you have a very large anyway, but here in IM it's also, but it's minimum. But this is what I'm remember and reading of I receive here the signals anyway. My friend K1 KW sometime come to 40/9, but you know, I've also sometime a little low distortion, but it's produced by effect of propagation. I believe, I'm not sure. W2 Bravo Tango Kilo CT1EHI.
Yeah, well, Chuck is a different breed. He's that would be a lot of fun to hear Chuck out here. But yeah, that's great. That the destruction is minimal, as long as yeah, like you said, it's all propagation. But you can do a little bit to minimize it. But as long as the intelligibility is there, and like you said, people are used to hearing it. But as long as it's intelligible through that stuff, that's good enough, man. And yeah, the 4 elements, that's pretty sick. That's really good. At least you can control it where the gain is going, you know, shine it like a flashlight. What I'm doing over here with this doublet is it's pure luck, you know, and if I change anything, it'll change stuff, like, you know, pull the antenna up or make any small changes, it'll definitely change everything, because it's all about where the lobes are. I mean, I could be like a clover leaf pattern, you know, all over the place, but there's definitely a lobe down to where you are, I would imagine. But this antenna, and probably transmitting off of the feed line and basically everything, so it's kind of all luck. It can't control it like with the Yagi, but man, between all the elements of what's going on, it's making for some beautiful AM here on 10 meters, which is pretty awesome stuff. CT1EHI W2BTK.
Yeah, beautiful copy. Anyway, Chuck using, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 4, I'm not sure if it's 4 or 3 or 4 stack antennas anyway. And 40 meters, I so remember working Chuck, it's come also very strong anyway. Yeah, Chuck using also output on the final 8877. Come tremendous loud and strong anyway. I believe it's one of the loudest I remember to see. And also in 15 meters. You know, to the hardware, it's incredibly loud and strong anyway. That's more or less similar here, but it's not compared because 3 or 4 elements. I'm checking here K1, checking what many antennas is stuck in K1, KW. I'm checking here the kHz, so I'm checking what many elements is. I don't know, but I remember, yeah, in 40 meters, it's two elements again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 log periodics, anyway. Anyway. It's a big difference when using wire antennas, anyway. Wire antennas also have a lot of gain. You know, I have some wire antennas that I want land and use that one. Operating a very large wire antenna, looper antenna, but you know, using also a 2 kilowatt in the final. And normally an SSP produce very strong signals anyway. And also in 80 meters regular rating ZL1 Italy unit every day, but using also to the stock, vertical stock in 80. But this friend mine using a very large, I don't know if it's a sloop or wire antenna. Anyway, I have a big volume anyway. I believe it's oil volume and using a very almost 3 CX3000 in the final. I believe it's homebrew linear anyway. But produce a lot of output in the final anyway. I know, I believe it's also a big tuner, automatic tuning. I believe it's some similar commercial system anyway. But you know, this station also can be allowed 20 meters or in 40 meters. Normally have a very strong signal anyway. More or less similar because your wire antenna have a good adjustment anyway, and also you have a, you know, the big tube in the final produce a lot of power also anyway. And also to the audio you have, it's very good anyway. I'm receiving almost, I believe it's 12K, I don't know sure. Normally transmitting 6 and I have adjustment, see only receive 12. This is a 9000D, not regular from IM transmission, but you know, this 9000D also have a good performance. Transmitting in IM and FM regularly, I have also a lot of good reports to the audio anyway. W2 Bravo Tango Kilo CT1EHI, ever?
Yeah, thanks so much, Marcos. I have a background in audio. I have a degree from Berklee College of Music, which is a pretty well-known college here in the U.S., and I worked as a live sound engineer for almost a decade, so a lot of experience turning knobs, doing audio stuff. So once I figured out what works on AM, you know, I started tweaking everything and setting it up toward that direction, which was honestly starting from scratch and starting from a point of being, you know, in a live, like a concert setting or a recording studio setting. Certain stuff that you look for there and that works, it doesn't matter. The more important stuff for AM is it's just it's a different beast, as they say. So making that transition was a little bit hard, but once I let go of some of the principles and stuff that I knew from, you know, different kinds of processing audio and stuff, and got more in tune with what you need for AM, and just a matter of getting there, which is the easy part, you know. So that there's that. But yeah, man, I think my bandwidth at this point, let me check the processor here. I'm using what is this? Some kind of Vorsys multiband, and I'm not doing a very good job. I think I'm at 10K here. Actually, I might be at full bandwidth, just no filtering. I'll check when I pass it over to you. It's a little hard to do while I'm transmitting, but yeah, man, that stuff that Chuck runs, the log periodics and all that, it's that's really something, man. That's like, wow. Sometimes I look at his page just like, wow, man. But yeah, I'm doing what I can over here at the wire antenna, and I use it on every band pretty much. It's a little short for 160, but with the tuner I can make it work. The feed line is number 6 gauge stranded copper wire, which is continuous out for about the first 12 feet of each leg of the antenna, and then it splices onto a number 10 stranded. So it's a lot of conductor going up there. It goes up through my roof through Teflon sleeves. So it's set up for QRO, everything up through there. So, you know, it helps. It all helps. I don't have it up very high. It's probably about 35 feet above ground level. And the ends are folded down because my property isn't long enough for that thing. So the ends fold down and are only about 15 feet off the ground. So there's a little bit of a vertical element in, the legs of the antenna, and then the whole feed line comes into play on this band, and it's a pretty interesting experiment. But back over to you, Marco. It's W2BTK.
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking here, but if you have a lot of space anyway, I don't have too much space here. I have a small tower, a small telescopic tower off the top of the second piece of my house, and I have two TH11DX next. I have a 6 meters LFER 6 element XL. From 6 meters I have a lot of fun operating 6, not in IM. I'm trying to receive some more in IM, but nothing. But that's I have a good operating in SSP. And at top I have 2 element 40. Sometimes I'm using 40 meters IM. It's a problem because 40 meters it's too much busy. And IM minimum it's about 6 kilowatts transmitting. And normally my radio, I'm using the minimum anyway. This is about 6 kilowatts I'm transmitting and receive 9K I'm checking here. It's about to receive to 9K and transmitting 6K. Sometimes I'm push 12K, but people tell me, Marcos, 6K your audio it's punching a little more clear and you have more quality transmission. And I'm dropping it again to 6K anyway. This is normally 6K and IM, and receive about 9K and receiver. In SSP I'm transmitting 2.8, 20 to 200, 2.8. This is the best adjustment from this microphone. Normally to the Nyman I'm using 100 and 2900, but in this one I'm using about 200, 280. It's the best of for my transmission from my voice anyway. But maybe you try, Sirafta. Yeah, I recommend, Sirafta on this TH11. It's a beautiful antenna, I like this TH11 because in 10 meters you have almost 1200 kilowatts band anyway. I'm transmitting here, it's 1x2, and 29300, I'm more or less same, 1x1, 1x2, and FM. So I have a lot of operatings. I'm like operating FM. Today I'm working JAs over the pole in FM anyway. I'm not using FT8, no FT4, no digital modes, only voice, human or human voice. I don't know what's the good explanation in English anyway. my English is more or less okay. But this TH11, it's a great. It's not too big. It's almost 7.5 meters boom. It's not very large, but the performance it's great. If you're looking, maybe you have an opportunity. I recommend this antenna. I have Multron VE6 in Alberta using the same antenna. It's also come very loud. But wire antenna, it's the wire antenna. It's different when you're using some Yagi or cubical antenna. Cubical it's the best, but you need a lot of space. In about 190.87 and 190.94, I have a 5-element cubical quad, homemade in 10 meters. Really, it's quite large, beautiful. Maybe to the receiver it's incredible because it's a very low noise receiver, and it's incredible because the cubical quad. But from 20 meters, it's complicated. You need a lot of space, and you need a big quad. It's problems. You have strong winds problems. My friend, it's almost 4-element and 20 meters, and it's 12 meters boom anyway. But problems because strong winds in some complicated anyway. But wire antenna, it's the wire antenna. It's different when you're using to Yagi anyway. W2 Bravo Tango Kilo CT1EHI, yeah?
This CT1EHI, W2BTK. I'm trying a little experiment here, so now I've limited my audio bandwidth to 6K. So it looks like, yeah, it looks like it worked. So this is my 6K setting, and I messed around with my bandwidth. I can, with the SDR receiver, I can basically listen to any bandwidth I want, up to 20K audio, 40K overall. I think that's the limit where it stops, but that's mostly noise. Anyway, yeah, you just very stable signal with that antenna, the conditions, all that. It's really nice, man. It's working great. I mean, you have a 5-element quad. you don't really need it right now, but I mean, dang, if you were using that, you'd be, breaking the needle on my receiver. I'd have to put an attenuator in there. I got a bunch of attenuators in line actually when I'm transmitting, and that would help a little bit, but no attenuation in right now. But yeah, having that much antenna in the air is kind of nerve-wracking. I've never really had that problem, but I can imagine with the wind and this and that, and a beautiful antenna like that, it's just it's a lot of work, but a lot of benefit. It's probably a lot of fun, but I've never had a directional antenna like that, really. Just a couple verticals and this long doublet for this band. But I would like to. I have a tower laying on the ground over here. I just never poured a cement slab for it and got it up in the air. But it's a 60-foot crank up. Could probably hold something like that. At least a 2 or 3 element for this band for sure. Someday it's one of those things. But I'd like to do that at some point. Mess around with that. Have some different options here. But for now, just getting this stuff to work as well as it's working is pretty fun. So there's my 6K transmission, and I'll go back to, I was at 10K before, so I'll go back there.
Yeah, okay, from 10K and 6K, for me, minimum it's different anyway. What I'm reading, you're picking something over the rough transmission. From scale, 6K, I believe you have a little more highs in a voice, and 10 maybe, to the highs it's a little more dissipated. But because I'm listening 9K. The bandwidth, the 9000 receiver, it's about 9K. So transmitting 10 or 9, it's more or less adjusted from my receiver. When you drop to 6K, I believe you have more effect to the highs, up a little more. And 10K, the how your voice, it's a little more dissipated anyway. But 6 or 10 for me, it's right. Different, it's minimum, what I'm reading in this moment anyway. You not forget to have maybe one this high gain, TH11. Particularly TH11, it's 3 elements and 20. Normal it's 25, 27 dB from the back. The same and 17 more. It's almost 3 elements and 27 dB from the back. It's right. You move the antenna, you lose completely off the back anyway. But it's a good, compromise. 5 antennas, 5 band, 1 antennas to the compromise. Maybe about 30 years ago, it's great. And 15, it's almost 5 elements, and 10 years, 12 is 4. No, 4 and 12, 4 and 15, 4 and 12. Particularly 10 years, you have 2 drive. You have 1200 kilowatts bands. It's possible using in 10 meters FM, almost 29 600. You have 1 by 3, 1 by 4, the final of the band anyway. And it's two directors, 2 drives, and I believe it's one reflector, because this is not the lock completely, because you have 6 elements. You have one element from 20, another from 17, 15, 12, and 10. 10 it's 2 drives. You have two reflectors, one from 17, another from 20. And you have also more 3 directors. Only the directors you have to the traps, small traps anyway. But I tell you, the compromise, it's great. Price quality, it's good antenna, but you have a JK and you have a lot of, I don't know, some MFG, it's close, not sure, so I have some eye gain. It's more in the market, really. I don't have familiar about this, but you know, JK, it's also have a lot of good contents. Price quality, it's great, but you know, again, the price it's a little down, or maybe to what is the cruise craft? That's by MFG, but I don't trust the MFG shut down. I don't know yet. But you don't have any large space. I recommend this one. The first I'm looking, it's the Pro 96, but you know, Pro 96, it's almost 11 meters boom. I don't know what's inches, but it's a big boom, very large for my area. But you know, it's 3 elements active in 40. It's great. Considerable. I have only 2 elements of the top, 2 element 40 meters, but it's great. I'm like operating 40 meters. Sometime also I'm using 40 meters IM. 12 meters you have almost 24. 985, I believe, a lot of team in California using also an IM and 12. Maybe check in one of these days. 24 985, I believe, working somewhere in, I think it's California, maybe the last 2 months anyway. 15, it's 21 420, last 2-3 days or so. I'm operating a lot of Europeans in North America. And 20 meters regular using 14330. Long pass working VKs. You know, VKs come sometime 20 over 9. That's incredible when you use the IM, good propagation. This is a great, anyway, people tell me, what you using IM? And I tell you, you're looking in front of your radio, you have IM, SSB, FE, and IM and FM. What you using in FT8? I'm using FT8. No computer. Okay, W2 Bravo Tango Kilo, CT1EHI, got?
Yeah, good stuff, Marcos. I just got to say about FT8, I mean, if you do have a computer and that stuff, it's a great tool. I don't know if you've ever used the website PSK Reporter, but if you want to vet out antennas and things, especially like you work on all those different bands, it's not really something that I've done a lot of, but you'd probably find it really useful. You can just call CQ with FT8 for, I don't know, a little while, 10-15 minutes, and you'll start getting pings on this PSK Reporter website of signal strengths in different locations, just little pings on the map. And if you let the FT8 run for long enough, I mean, you won't make any contacts unless you're using it manually, but just let it call CQ for a long time. You'll get a very good map of, you know, your signal strengths and where you are with that antenna, and I find that extremely useful. But yeah, I should get on some other bands and stuff, but I just don't have a lot of cool antennas like that. Pretty much just this one and the vertical I have. It's just a Mako 5/8 wave standard vertical. But yeah, you might find that really useful. Have you heard of PSK Reporter website?
I don't using PSK. I don't using any digital transmission. I don't like. I'm using only the computer logging to the contacts. No more. My radio, it's not connection to the computer. Anyway, I don't using any satellite. I don't using CW. Nothing. Only using some SSB, IM, and FM anyway. I don't have any interacting from FT8 and FT4. Machine working. No machine anyway. This is for me, not radio. For me anyway. But people like working FT8 and FT4. It's different anyway. I believe in SSB and IM and FM, it's more difficult. You talk, you the contact. And FT8 to the computer, F to the work. Send it to the signal, almost your call sign, maybe a lot of times. I don't using no digital. I don't have any digital interface, nothing here in my computer. Only I'm using only from logging program and also looking to the kHz.com and checking some information and also looking to the Facebook, also interesting to the programs by the radios and IM and everything, antenna, solid state, transceiver, solid state, linears, but no FT8, no FT4, no RTTI, nothing. Only voice, over?
Oh yeah, well, I can respect that. I totally respect that. I'm kind of the same way. I'm exactly the same way. But what I'm talking about, I'm not talking about using FT8 as to make contacts, like at all. I'm talking about using it as a tool to improve your AM or FM or SSB setup by using it as a tool to create a propagation map. You can see how your antenna is performing in different areas, and it's not to make contacts or anything like that, just as a simple tool, like a screwdriver that you use to check your propagation with your antennas before you get on AM or sideband or FM or something like that.
Yeah, I know, I understand, but normally I don't have any program. I have, for example, I put, for example, my antenna of the north, anyway, and I'm calling CQ. I put to the playback, and I move to the button, to the rotor at about 0 or maybe 306. Push to the button, and I push to the PTT, and every to the playback come. Normally, so I have response, maybe I have propagation. Or normally I'm calling CQ beam in the north, calling CQ beam in the south, calling CQ North America, Asia, and Africa. One of these days, maybe a long time ago, I've put my beam in an Indian Ocean, Oceania, and calling CQ Pacific. Somebody tell me, flex number is number 2, number 3, the flex, no, it's not too good. And I put the playback calling CQ. And I have somebody from, hotel, was some station in the Pacific, hotel something, I'm trying to remember what was the call sign anyway. Some small islands north of Australia. Not Samoa, one of these small islands anyway. They reply and send me 5 and 5. The next you have maybe 1,000 Europeans calling the same time. And I'll tell you, who's the flex number? Yes, it's propagation anyway. And I have a lot of fun anyway. Yeah, but I understand you will tell me about the flex number. It's sometimes exactly, normally I'm using in 6 meters. 6 meters I'm looking what the propagation anyway. But here and 20 meters regularly I put my beam long pass and calling CQ. Sometimes I have somebody replay. Normally 99% I have somebody replay. Put about a kilowatt and somebody replay. The problem is when you have low propagation, for example in 40 meters, I have my beam long pass and normally using almost 1.1, 1.3 and 40. Anyway, I'm calling CQ. People using 100 watt in a dipole, it's difficult because you have low propagation. It's difficult. People listening, but I don't receive anyway. The signals, it's very weak. But conclusion, propagation, it's open because you're using a good antenna, you have a power, your signal go. But people using 100 watt, it's complicated. My conclusion, you not need a lot of power, only you need 600 watt, it's enough. Anyway, 600 watt, it's enough, because if you're using a lot of power, it was difficult because people should not have one big antenna and a lot of power, it's complicated. This is my conclusion of this year. But normally I'm using 1 kilowatt anyway. Here in I am using about 200 or 300 watt kHz. It's the minimum drive to the 9000 send me 200 or 300 watt kHz. Peak envelope power running about 900 and a kilowatt peak anyway. But I don't drop down to the power. Anyway, but to the program of the propagation, it's okay. I understand what you tell me, but I don't using this program. Sometime in 6 meters, I'm looking who's the numbers anyway, normally. But last evening I have stayed about almost 22, 23 evening for me, about 22 hours. Put to the beam to South America and calling CQ. I have somebody in Brazil to replay anyway, Justificate. I'm looking to the scope in FT8, the signal come, the signal come is justificate its propagation. But the problem, everybody working in FT8 not come in SSB anyway. This is my conclusion. But I'm like transmitting and I am. But about the program, it's okay. You're looking to the flex numbers by the propagation anyway. W2 Bravo Tango Kilo CT1EHI.
CT1EHI W2BTK. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying completely, and I respect that. It's like old school, all feel, and if you don't have access to that stuff, like you're good. You can do it without that stuff, and that's all you need. So that's great. But yeah, I don't know. It's just something fun to play with if you're into that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's no need for it. Having skills is a good thing, man. So I respect that a lot. And you're probably right. Like a lot of the people using that kind of stuff, yeah, they don't put their nose out there on SSB, or especially not AM. I mean, you don't hear a ton of AM, and that's a shame, because it's a beautiful mode. But like you said, it's kind of a challenge, I see myself drifting down in frequency here. My 1950s exciter, it's actually the VFO that I'm using, I think, is commercially produced in 1940s, a model 122 Johnson VFO. So I'm, it's a little bit of a challenge, and it's not everybody's up for it. But yeah, you see all the activity on FT8 and stuff, and then we're out here with the band to ourselves on AM. Yeah, it does make you scratch your head. That's a really good point. So, but it's still fun. Everybody has fun with the hobby in their own way. So I'm just glad there's still people signing up for call signs. It's probably thinning out. I don't know. You talk to the average person, if they know much about the ham radio hobby, or if they even know somebody that's into it anymore. But so that all that digi-widgy FT8 stuff, if that's all the operator is doing, at least they're using ham radio. But that's the only other side that I can really see to it. But I guess it's more AM for us, man. This is great. This is great. I got a text from W2VW Dave. He said the band isn't even in that great of shape. And we're just having a blast right now, man. This is good stuff. And I still have the live stream going here, so if you want to listen to that later, it'll just be there. I'll edit the title of it. I'll put your call sign in there, my call sign, so you can find it easily. Or if anyone searches your call sign, it'll be there. So back over to you, Marcos. W2BTK.
Yeah, W2BTK, CT1EHI. I'm looking at REC. I believe your radio, it's 1, 2, 3. It's the number 3. The next I know it shows it's a VFO antenna tuning, something about this. You're up again to 20/9 anyway. Amazing loud, strong signal. I'm looking to the scope button and nothing more here in 10 meters I am. Maybe everybody listening might know the conversation anyway. Anyway, but normally I'm dry in the morning. I don't have too much active, but normally I have some VK6 very active almost every morning about 8, 9 UTC over the short pass for me anyway. Victor Kilo 6 come very loud anyway. But you know, the last week's propagation it's not great. Maybe the last week up a little. But I'm also working to the VK6 and I am come very good. And 80 meters sometime only to the local anyway. I believe 80 meters North America, it's almost 380, I don't know, it's a little up in the band. Maximi, it's about 3800 anyway. But I'm working in all SSB and 80. Sometime down about in the band, I have some French station, good activity also in IM and 80. But the problem me in the evening, I have too much noise anyway. Elimination public send me a lot of noise. I'm waiting some solution because to the left, there's a lot of interfacing here. And, for example, in 80 and also in 40 meters. Elimination public, I've changed maybe the last 2 months from LEDs, but you know the LEDs produce a lot of noise level. Awaiting a solution anyway. And 160, I don't have antenna. I have here to the project to the slooper from 160. I have all material, you know, but I don't decision because I have to the same problem in 160. So I've calculated to the noise level put to the LEDs. I need to talk to the to the engineer and looking some solution anyway. Maybe some filters, Echo Mike Italy filters, I believe is the solution. I calculate here the filter line. I have another filter and here in the line, but the noise level it's very high, almost S9 in 20 and S9 in 80. And the same in 160. I don't have any 160, but I have all material and balloon and also 40 meters line from Colocade maybe to one slooper from 160. It's the next project. But waiting some solution also by to the noise level anyway. It's almost S9. It's difficult to receive normally signals anyway. No, not every day you have strong signals from your almost 20 over and a peak voice. When you have maximum, it's almost 20 over. It's no problem to the noise. But here, yet I'm about 103 noise level in 10 meters. But in 80 meters, it's, and 181, 160, it's, and then so in 40. It's almost S9. I only receive signals over the 9. It's complicated anyway. But you know, some problems, some solutions. W2 Bravo Tango Kilo, CT1EHI, got?
CT1EHI, W2BTK. Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. 160 is tons of fun, but I do mostly local there, so the signals are strong, and I can get around a lot of that noise, which the noise is very bad for me as well. I stick probably between 10 to 16 dB of attenuation in, in front of my receiver to kind of, just knock it down, and then the signal strength is good on 160. For most of the people that I talk to, I don't really hear any DX on 160, but we get down there and, talk around a few states away or whatever, and it's a lot of fun. Get on 160 a lot, actually, and I don't really have a 160 antenna either. This doublet is pretty considerably, it's too short for 160, but I get around it with the double L network. The balance tuner helps. You know, I can get the thing, all the reactance wrung out of it, and get it to tune into one of those low radiation resistances. And a lot of tuners have trouble with that, but this design is good for that. So you got a low radiation resistance that I have to match, and it does a good job of that. And the other consideration is the large conductors that I'm using for the transmission line and the first 12 to 15 feet of each side of the antenna, because using that short antenna, it's a lot more current. It could be like, it's just a ton more current than you see on the other bands. So between all those things, it works. But I really don't have a 160 antenna. You could try something like that. I know that Dave VW, he was getting on 160 with like, I think he only had like around, I know it was a really short doublet. It was like around an 80-meter doublet or something like that, maybe even a little shorter than 80-meter resonant, and he was getting on 160 with that, with the same principle. So, I mean, you could try something like that for 160 and see what's going on down there in your area. But yeah, running a 160-meter vertical, which might be better for DX, is a pretty big undertaking, man. I've heard people on the air with them, but that's a lot. But I don't know. I have a ton of fun on 160. I'm there quite a bit operating, to tell you the truth. So back over to you, Marcos, W2BTK.
I don't have any experience from 160. Every day I'm working ZL1 Italy United. Every day almost. It's moving short paths anyway. I have my slooper antenna. Anyway, small slooper, about 45 degrees in a dollar. And a kilowatt. I don't have any problem. 5 and 9 every day. So reading short I'm receive anyway. Every day I'm working in 80, almost 18 UTC, or maybe 19 o'clock normally, green line. I'm working every day, ZL1 Italy United. It's a big stack, it's almost 4 vertical stack anyway. 6 meters, 160, I don't have any experience, 0. For me it's 0 anyway. And I'm checking another, I've read about 42 meters wire, and also I have a 1x1 balloon, about 3 kilowatts, it's enough anyway. My linear it's about 1.2. Normally I don't push too much. And I'm considering only to position, maybe adjust about almost 50 or 60, maybe an SSB, no FT8 band anyway, because the band 168 is very short. Maybe I'm try one of these days anyway. First I need solution by the noise level. Sometimes I have a noise level anyway from neighbors, but it's maybe 5-10 minutes anyway. Local public elimination, it's almost between 19 o'clock to 6 o'clock in the morning. It's quite noisy. It's complicated. And normally in the evening you have propagation also. Green light, it's more or less the same, the system. You have an 80 and 160. But it's a new. Anyway, I don't have 0 experience by to 160. Maybe I'll try one of these days. Anyway, I believe it's interesting. 160, it's, not everybody using 160 because you need a lot of large antenna. It's complicated. You need also a lot of space. Yeah, maybe I have checking in and talk to my neighbors and collocate another wire antennas, another slooper. Collocate one of these posts by elimination pool. They get and try it just about almost from SSP, not to FT8 anyway. W2 Bravo Tango Kilo CT1EHI.
CT1EHI, W2BTK. Yeah, those sloping antennas, like, get it around a 45 degree or whatever, just play with it. That is actually really effective. Gives, not that I've done it, but I've heard of people doing stuff like that and getting a very good vertical, polarization. They're like kind of mixed, but it's more effective than you'd think. So that's, I could imagine that would work pretty well. But yeah, 160, you do need, some space and this and that, not a bunch of people. But the way I think of 160 is like some of the other bands is like being in the city. You bump into lots of people and this and that. You can do everything, and then going to 160 is kind of like walking out into a cornfield or going out in the woods and having like a bonfire with a couple of people and just nobody's around most of the time. You can spread your legs, run wide bandwidth audio if you want, and it's kind of more something like that, very relaxed, but it's a lot of fun for me. You should try it. I mean, if you do all kinds of stuff. You're on all these different bands. I don't really mess around like that too much. Here's the deal. You should get on 160, and I should go get on like 40 and 15 and 20 and all that stuff more. How about that?
Oh, but I don't have antenna. I need properly some Super 160. I'm active and every day. I'm working every day anyway. Today I'm trying 10 meters, I am maybe in the morning to the European, nothing from Europe today here. I'm working 15 meters over the long pass in the morning in SSP. I don't try in IM, but sometimes I have some VKs come in 15 meters IM. And you check it to the YouTube anyway. You put CT1EHI, you have some YouTube signals from 20 meters. I have working some VKs in 20 meters, the sounds, some station using to the SDR to, I believe it's Apache Lab anyway. But one of the signal, I remember, it's incredibly loud and strong anyway. But maybe you try 15 and IM. Also, we have a lot of UK station operating in IM anyway. 21420 or 21430. Normally this segment band have a lot of good operating in UK and IM. 40 meters, it's complicated anyway, because it's when you're transmitting about, for me simply it's 6K, you're using 10K, to the space to the band it's some complicated, because in the evening for me a lot of activity in 40. Sometime I'm try. Normally every year I have some club here using 1 day from only IM. Normally using also in 80, and I'm using in 40 meters. But 40 meters it's complicated because you have the people come and SSP too close in the band, it's some complicated. But I'm using a little power, the same same power I'm using here, I'm using in 40 meters. And produce sometime some splatter, it's normally anyway. But people come too close. It's complicated 40, forget it. I'm like 10 here in this band, it's great. When you have contest, also somebody come here, this frequency calling CQ contest anyway. Also in 15, normally 2140, and a contest, also people come to top the band anyway. 20 again, it's also complicated. Maybe you try in 15. You're not using 15, maybe you not have any you have I don't sure what a good explanation is, but you have, maybe you try some good contacts in 15 meters. Normally from Europe, regularly you have a lot of activity, people to UK. Almost UK, it's very, Golf, Papa Alpha Zulu, I believe. I don't remember the call sign. It's a one friend by, It's also very active in IM anyway. Normally in 15 and 10 meters, and come to very strong. And not using not too much power, using also a hold radio. Only produce IM, but normally come very loud also. The older radio have, I'm not sure, I don't know, such it's the Viking, old radio, and it produce maybe 100 watt and an amplitude modulator. Normally the signal is 5 and 9 for me, it's no problem anyway. W2 Bravo Tango Kilo CT1EHI, yeah?
CT1EHI, W2BTK. That would be a lot of fun because, like I said, I'm running the Johnson Viking 2 right now. It's nice to hear the boat anchors, as they say on the air, right? And I know what you mean on other bands. The interference, stations tucking up right next to you, and it's just. I know all about that. Even on 80, that becomes an issue, and even with AM signals, that somebody will start up really close to you, and you just, they'll be splashing you with the tss. But I know what you mean. But I should get out on other bands more for sure. And on AM, it'd be super fun. Just try. But like I heard you calling CQ for a while there. It's a lot of work. I was turning on all this stuff is kind of a long process. So I heard you calling CQ. It took me a couple minutes, but I don't really go out and do that too much. I try it a little bit more. But hey, Marcos, my stomach is rumbling a little bit here. I never really ate a proper lunch, so I think I'm gonna go take a break real quick and have something to eat. But man, this has been a ton of fun. Just wonderful AM out here. Not even that great band conditions. So this is what it's all about. But anyway, thank you very much for the awesome QSO, as they say, and I'll catch you out here again, I'm sure. CT1EHI from W2BTK. Thanks, Marcos. And like I said, the YouTube, this will be on YouTube, so you can listen to it anytime you want.
Okay, no problem. Sometime I'm busy at YouTube anyway. The last one is somebody using to the walkie-talkie Japanese station, and I'm calling CQ and FM mode anyway. To the JA you're using to receive a small walkie-talkie. Anyway, 73. Okay, time to the dinner here. Maybe I need waiting eat something anyway. It's 1844. Okay, 73. Maybe talking to you soon. You another bun. And I am on SSB anyway. No FT8, no FT4. Sometimes I'm like so playing SSB anyway. 73, have a great thing to you. Good evening here. And see you tomorrow or another day in this good condition. You're peaking again, 20/9. Almost dropped to a 9 and 20/9. BBC quality. W2 Bravo Tango Kilowatt CT1EHI. Bye-bye, thank you.
EED, Kilo 5 Tango Echo Delta in South Texas, calling